Hi everyone, my name is Kristin. I'm a writer and contributor for Film Fest Report, and welcome to today's incredible interview. Today we are speaking with Ashley Tabatabai, who is a co-director of a short film, an incredible thriller short film, Hamdardi. And he co-directed this film with Stephen Fairlamb, and I'm so happy I can say that this short film has been qualified to be considered for the 2025 Oscars and has premiered and shown at incredible film festivals. Now, before we jump into our interview with Ashley, I do want to give you all a little synopsis of the film. It's about an immigration officer who struggles with his role in the system after meeting a young Iranian brother and sister detained during the travel ban. Now, I think this is an important short film and it's very, very gripping. And I'm so happy I got to talk to Ashley about it. So let's head on over to my interview. But before we do, I want to remind you all to please subscribe to the YouTube channel, like, comment, and share this video, and check us out on filmfestreport.com. So now, with further ado, let's check out my interview with Ashley. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to speak with me. It's a great honor. I really, really enjoyed the short, like a lot, and I understand why it's getting like Oscar buzz. I mean, how does that feel to you as a filmmaker? Because you co-directed this. How does it feel to get that acknowledgement now?
Right. Well, first, thank you. Always nice to hear that. And, it's great. I think also there's a long way to go with that. And it's a weird disconnect between, I guess, the art and that kind of business, campaigning, PR side of what we do. So I suppose trying to just keep level-headed and balanced, like awesome,
Yes.
but like, really, really good and really, really bad are both kind of dangerous in equal weight. So I'm just trying to keep grounded with things, I think.
Well, keeping my fingers crossed for you
Thank
for
you.
hoping, you know.
I
So you,
appreciate it.
yeah, of course. So you co-directed this. Can you discuss the collaboration process and how you and your co-director were brought together?
Yeah, totally. So my co-director is called Stefan Fairlamb. He's actually from more of an editing background, so he has that more technical eye. So we first met, well, I don't want to do the math because it'll age me, but I'm going to say over 10 years ago
Okay.
when he did his student film. So I was in his student film. I'm an actor first and foremost. And then it kind of grew from there. So when I decided to start making my own short films, and because I'm an actor and my ego said, you've got to be in them, I
Yeah.
thought I need someone that can help me on set to kind of direct and guide things technically, because I just don't have time to do that when I'm in the scene. And so on this project, he really helped from that editorial eye, being on set, being able to just, allow me to trust that he had that locked in. And from us talking ahead of time, he knew the vision, he knew the themes, he knew what I was trying to execute. And he could, I guess, have that on set, but also with a view to what the edit might be, which I think is quite a rare thing to have that available to you.
Definitely. Definitely.
Mm.
That's amazing. I loved how you two were able to collaborate and it shows off in tremendous ways. So why was it important for you to tell this story?
Right. Good question. So I am a lot of very mixed things. Part of that is half Iranian. So my dad was from Iran. My mom's English, German. I sound American. There's a whole thing behind it. We won't get into that. But my dad was from Iran. And when the ban hit in 2017,
Yeah.
I had and still have family that live there. So it's something that impacted my relatives directly. My cousin, who was living and still is living in Tehran at the time, uh, found out that her dad, who was in San Francisco on a green card, was taken ill. Long story short, he ends up in the ICU. And
Oh
over the course of
gosh.
a few months, what transpires is he ends up passing away. And she knew that that was coming. At some point, if we've
Hmm.
ever been unfortunate enough to be in those scenarios, you kind of start to realize the writing's on the wall.
Hmm.
So she wasn't able to go and see him to have those final moments and those final
Oh.
goodbyes, which is something I think we all maybe take for granted as humans. And it probably
Hmm.
should be like just a given right that if we want to
Right.
do that, we have it. So she didn't get to do that. After he passed, her mom and brother were still in the US, and so she couldn't even be with her family to go through the grieving process, which again is another thing I think we just inherently think we have a right to have. And again, I think we do. So that was the genesis of it, I suppose. And then about a year later, I just started writing a story that I guess would honor that. And also, I think as I delved into it, seeing other stories of other people who were disconnected from their families just because they were on a list arbitrarily. And
Yeah.
it was from there.
It's partially based on personal experience. So, from what I'm getting from you, did you do any research for the film?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got to be really careful, right, with stuff like this to try and honor the kind of stuff that people have gone through. So beyond the implicit stories of my relatives and what I've known, like family and friends experiences have been like just traveling sometimes.
Mhm.
There was a lot of insight into just stories and accounts of what people had gone through within those few days of the ban. Firsthand stories that I was reading online of what the holding rooms were like, how they were being treated, the things that they were being asked. And then beyond that, I think it was also important to look at it from the other side of just the immigration officers and
Right.
trying to understand, I guess, their role in a system and doing their job. And whilst it was super important to do the research around key things that are more aesthetic, like costume and set design, I really wanted the officers to be humanized and not
Yes.
be like caricatured as these big demonic evil people because they're not. Like a lot of them are just doing their jobs. And so it was important to research what they do, but not make that only about like who they were in the film. There's got to be more to them. And I think that was important.
Yeah, of course. Without giving too much away, from being on set, what was the most emotional scene and most difficult scene to put together?
Oh, that's interesting. Because they're kind of two separate things in some ways, right? Like difficult, I think, has a lot of technical elements to it. So, we have a big opening scene where we kind of have all these people descending into this airport and they're all arriving. And that was kind of, I suppose, going into it, our big set piece scene to make the feel
Yes.
of the living, breathing American airport. So I think, as anything with film, especially shorts, with budget constraints and time constraints, we had one day to try and capture all of that. And I
Wow.
think that was challenging, not unattainable, obviously, but that was, I think, because there's so many moving parts. We had so many people, so many essays, all our cast and crew. We had to get everything in, build all the immigration booths, set dress it in the morning. So, as you know, from making stuff like that time gets eaten up so quick. So I suppose that was one of the more challenging ones, just logistically. Emotionally, there were quite a few. I think one that stands out though is there's a scene where my character and a few of the other officers are first bringing the detained children into this holding room. And it was written to be quite amped up. And I think it got more amped up than we expected, to the point that the young actress, who was 9 at the time, playing the young Iranian girl in the film, was genuinely taken a bit aback. And we kind of
Mhm.
heard her sort of saying to a few people, it was a bit scary, wasn't it? Like, wasn't it a bit
Oh,
scary? And I'm like, oh, well, in my head, I'm going, great. But as a human, I'm going,
and
oh gosh, like she's genuinely a little bit scared because she
yeah,
hadn't been prepped for that. So that was kind of emotional because it was just such a charged scene.
yeah, of course. I can only imagine what her emotions were.
Yeah, we took her upstairs to the terrace for a 20-minute break just to
Oh,
decompress.
yeah, of course. So, can you discuss like building the set and the location scouting for this film?
Yeah, so that was a long process. And I'm actually going to say, and maybe people don't always say this much, but I think the pandemic helped me in the
Yeah,
sense that it gave me more time to prep.
that's a good
Um,
thing though.
right. Like I think we were ready when we shot this, whereas if we would have shot it 2019, 2020, it might have not turned out as well as it has done.
Yeah.
So we're based in the UK, like my whole team and all the cast and crew are based in the UK, and we
Oh,
had to
wow.
make this feel American, right? It's got to pass off. So we filmed it in an arena called the First Direct Arena. It's basically an event space, and we basically used the concourse to mimic the sort of arrivals hall of an airport. And then the big challenge was I need to find someone who can make immigration booths. I've got to pass like the test.
All
So
right.
I just randomly, as fate sort of seems to fall into your favor sometimes, I was at a Spanish bar that I know, and I randomly started talking to this guy whose dog came up to me, and
Oh,
it turns out that he is a carpenter. He's never done anything with film, and he's like, "That's so interesting." We got talking, and he ends up building the booths for me at a way cheaper cost than if I would have gone to like a set designer that was going to be triple the price. So that's a nice little story, I guess, of just some of the set design.
Well, I'm going to give you some credit because it looks like an actual airport. It really does. It looks like it pays off. So, and I was like, I wonder what airport this is at. I mean,
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's awesome though, because for us, for me, like as this has gone into the world, I have two really big things that I just like feedback on. One is that, like, does it pass as an airport? And moreover, like an American airport. And, American flags help quite a lot. They're great
yeah,
for set lifting. And the other was like, does it feel long? Because it is long for a short film, or does it flow with a pace that doesn't make you go, God, when's this thing gonna finish? Like 26 minutes.
yeah, of course. And then you brought up having like the officers, excuse me, have more like a human side. And God, after watching the film, I had a true sense of empathy for everything for this film. What are the messages you hope audiences take away from this?
I love that. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to color our audience's perspective too much. I think it's quite open-ended with that in mind. But I think there's some key themes, right? For me, the big thing going in was very much around the idea of labels. Like the way that we use labels in the world, I think are important to help us identify with who we are and how we move through our lives. But sometimes, especially in the current climates, they can be quite extreme. And I think when we're running from the extremes, everything becomes very polarized as we see in the current climate. So
Right.
I think the labels sometimes shadow things, and if you strip them away on a base level, we all have commonalities. Like this character is trying to get his daughter back, comes across these kids who are detained who are just trying to see their father. That was a mirror that we wanted to show because ultimately we're all kids and we have siblings and we have parents and we have family. And at the core, we all kind of come from the same place.
Yeah, of course. And then finally, because I have to ask, because we are a film festival website, what does it
Yeah.
mean to you also as a filmmaker to have your film shown at all these film festivals?
It's awesome because that's the ultimate goal, right? Like you make a film and you don't want to sit on the shelf. So to get it to first be accepted, right? Because there's so many
Mhm.
great films that get made, like getting the acceptance is great. But then to know that it's getting shown and screened in front of audiences, and we've been lucky to get some audience awards, which are amazing because you then know that it's resonating with people. Plus, it's good to get feedback, right?
Yes, of
Like, I'm
course.
so in the weeds. I don't know if it's good or bad anymore. Like, it's not even my job. But when people are watching it in sort of at a festival in a communal experience, seeing it in a theater and reacting, I think that's everything.
Oh, that's amazing. So I'm just going to wrap it up and say thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Krista. I appreciate it.